Chapter 24. Act 2. Boat log, Day 5, 1700. According to the distance plotter Nori attached to the bow, we are approximately 1,300 miles southeast of Aradet City. The weather has been pleasant and the sea has been smooth. We're traveling at an average cruising speed of 14 knots. All navigational and life support systems are functioning properly, and morale is high. I blew on the fresh ink to make sure it was dry before closing the field notes notebook Kara had given me. Then I stepped out of the weather-protected cabin and grinned as the wind whipped my ponytail around my head. The view was exactly the same as it had been for the past 5 days. Nothing but the deep azure ocean undulating softly against the sapphire sky. I took in a slow, satisfied breath of salty air. I loved being at sea. Sailing was somehow both the most relaxing and the most exciting thing I'd ever experienced. But that would all change tomorrow. If we followed the same course as every other boat, and we had no reason to think we wouldn't, we'd reach the mist tomorrow morning. I felt like I should be doing something to prepare, but I didn't know exactly what to prepare for. I'd watched over 100 transmissions of people disappearing into the mist. Each one ended the same. The mist billowed over the boat, the passengers freaked out, and the transmission went static. The mist didn't seem to suffocate, burn, or cause any physical harm, but it obviously dealt a huge mental blow. How do you prepare yourself against a mental attack? I had no idea, but I figured freaking out early wasn't going to help. I tried to push that anxiety from my mind as I climbed down the steps to the galley to help Ronnie with dinner. Ronnie and I had very different ways of dealing with our uncertain future. I buried myself in books, hoping to arm myself with knowledge. Ronnie had gone on a fitness kick. She was up every morning at the crack of dawn doing cardio and toning exercises on the foredeck. I joined her on deck, but I mostly lazed around, pretending to do stretches while I watched the pink haze of sunrise fill the horizon. Once the sky was solidly blue, we'd go down to the galley to share a healthy, low-calorie breakfast. Ronnie's new obsession with fitness was a stark contrast from her previous habits. For the first 6 months of my life, breakfast meant buttery pastries paired with a sugary, caffeinated drink. Exercise had never been a priority. But all that changed once Ronnie decided to sail east. The moment Nori approved our departure, Ronnie started an intense weight loss regimen and bought tons of gravity-defying, collagen-boosting, and wrinkle-flattening creams made of strange things like snail extract and magnetized algae. I honestly couldn't see any difference. Her face had always looked nice to me. But the creams seemed to make her happy, so I learned to smile and lie whenever she asked if she looked younger. It wasn't until Ronnie asked, "Do you think Jack will recognize me?" that I understood her new obsession. Now that we were underway, following in Jack's footsteps, Ronnie's commitment to health and beauty had intensified. When she wasn't trying to lose weight or tighten her skin, she was sunbathing up on the flybridge or experimenting in front of the mirror with different hairstyles and makeup palettes. Most afternoons, I joined Ronnie on the flybridge. She'd lie there, slathered in various beautifying lotions while I binge-studied my library of science, religion, and astronavigation reference books. When it got too hot or my brain was overwhelmed with information, I'd go cool down on the hammock-like trampoline nets near the bow of the boat. I loved lying there, watching the ocean fly past beneath me and feeling the occasional spray from the larger waves. I'd be there now if Ronnie didn't need me on KP duty. "There's my keratam slicer," Ronnie greeted as I stepped into the galley. A deliciously savory scent wafted over me, causing my stomach to growl and my mouth to water. "Whatever's in that pot already smells perfect," I said, walking to the sink to wash my hands. "It's lamb ragu." Ronnie tapped her mixing spoon dry on the edge of her pot. "I figured since this might be our last full meal, it'd better be something good. The caratams are for dessert, though." I inwardly groaned. For the past 4 nights, Ronnie had treated us to some kind of healthy dessert smoothie. Last night's concoction had been a blend of vanilla protein powder, pureed cauliflower, flaxseed, caratam, and cinnamon, which Ronnie had dubbed a caratam cake smoothie. It was the worst thing I'd ever tasted. But since food waste at sea was a cardinal sin, I'd slurped down the sludgy superfood with a smile. Fortunately, the ragu that night tasted as good as it smelled. As for the chocolate caratam smoothie, well, it contained so much chocolate and honey that the caratam was barely noticeable. After washing the dishes, Ronnie and I climbed the aft deck ladder up to the flybridge. Normally at night, Ronnie and I went down to her cabin to watch her favorite vintage rom-coms. The show's sappy plots were as groan-worthy as the healthy smoothies. But I was fascinated by the old-timey sets, and I loved watching Ronnie's face light up as she laughed at her favorite scenes. Tonight was different, though. It was our last night before going into the mist, and neither of us were in the mood to watch fictional teledramas. Instead, we lay head-to-head on the L-shaped flybridge bench and watched as the first few stars peeked through the purple twilight sky. The sea was glassy smooth. The only sound was the lap of waves against our double hulls. After a hot day on the open ocean, the cool, salty breeze blowing across my face felt phenomenal. Ronnie and I watched in meditative stillness as the sky darkened from violet to indigo to black. Soon it became a mesmerizing celestial tapestry with multicolored ribbons of space dust weaving through billions of twinkling stars. I tried staring at the black patches between the bright stars, but as my eyes adjusted, I found no true black, only dimmer and dimmer stars. "Worlds without end," whispered an unknown voice in my head. "Do you think there's anyone out there?" I asked out loud. I mean, not even beyond the mist, but beyond this world? Like other people on other worlds? Do you think our planet looks like a star to them? I couldn't see Ronnie's face in the darkness, but I could hear her snort of amusement. "What is it about stargazing that makes people so philosophical?" She sighed. Jack used to ask questions like that too. We used to go to a hill in Seneca Park and look up at the sky. The light pollution was terrible, of course, but we could still see a few stars. He used to talk about finding our place in the universe. She paused before letting out a heavy breath. I wonder if he ever found his place. I certainly didn't. A contemplative silence fell over us. Who knows? I shrugged, forgetting Ronnie couldn't see the gesture in the darkness. Maybe Jack is the one who wrote the invitation to come and see. Ronnie snorted again. Jack always had atrocious handwriting. If he'd been the one to write on that boat, you'd be off on a sacred quest to find the best corned beef instead of coming and seeing. I laughed. Tomorrow, we might finally get some answers, I said, smothering my trepidation with optimism. What do you think we're going to find? Ronnie asked after a pause. Her imploring tone caught me off guard. It was rare for her to show any sort of uncertainty or vulnerability. I don't know, I admitted. I've searched for clues in the Book of Panosyn and all the other history and religion books. They talk about everything from paradisiacal gardens to floating cities to lakes of fire and brimstone filled with man-eating dragons. It's impossible to know what's literal, what's figurative, and what's completely made up. Are we talking cities that float on the ocean or cities that float in the sky? Ronnie asked. Both, I think. I chewed my lower lip, mentally sifting through volumes of research. I'll take either as long as there's no hungry dragons, Ronnie joked. I did not get in this good of shape just to be eaten. Well, not by a dragon anyway. Any other mist monsters I should know about? Let's see. I stretched my arms in consideration. In the last section of Panosyn's book, his friend John talks about this vision he had where a beast rose up out of the sea having 7 heads and 10 horns. So yeah, we should probably watch out for that. I concluded facetiously. Oh, so now you tell me. I could practically hear Ronnie's eye roll. You never asked. I chuckled. If it makes you feel better, the book the Redcap woman gave me said the beast symbolizes the corrupt kingdoms of the world. But honestly, I think John was just tripping on something. I mean, this beast he saw is apparently supposed to look like a leopard, but with bear's feet, a lion's mouth, and an obsession with crowns. Oh, and then it gets defeated by a talking lamb. Pity we just ate all of our lamb. Ronnie deadpanned. I burst out in helpless giggles. I guess we're doomed then. I took in another deep, steadying breath as I marveled at the majesty of the infinite night sky. No matter what happens tomorrow, we know one thing for sure. The boats don't sink. We have scientific proof our boat will make it back to Eridet in 72 days. As long as we don't abandon ship, we should be fine. Ronnie reached her left hand toward me, searching for my right. I won't get off the boat unless you get off the boat, she promised. Deal. I squeezed her hand.